Okay, this is a power station, Fryette Power Station version 2. And I'm going to do a quick comparison for you just so you can hear the transparency of the unit. I'm going to set it to unity volume, unity gain, with an amp running through it, and just toggle back and forth between the bypass and the operate. Okay, so we got the power station that's running into an Avatar cabinet with two Celestion Vintage 30s. We got a 1965 Vox AC-50 head. So the AC-50 is running direct into the power station. Power station is running direct into the Avatar cabinet. Just got a cable going to a tuner and another cable going to a Gibson Les Paul Studio. That's it. Okay, so what you just heard was me toggling back and forth between operate and bypass on the power station. So in bypass mode, the amp is going straight through to the speaker cabinet without the power station affecting it. In operate mode, the power station is fully engaged. It's just power switch back and forth. So we got some voicing filters and a volume control over here. I'll run over what each of these does and kind of show you why I had the settings that I did. So this one over here takes care of the top end. It's a voicing filter for the top end. On the bottom position, it's flat. In the middle, it's bright, and edge is the brightest that it gets. On the bottom over here, this is a voicing filter for the low end. So again, flat on the bottom, then warm adds a little low end in, and deep adds even more. So I had both of these set in the middle position. I had it set to warm, I had it set to bright. Input level. This is basically kind of like a high and a low. If you have a low-powered amp, you would want it in one position. If you had a high-powered amp, you would want it in the other position. All that does is really just kind of change the taper of the volume. If you have a really high-powered amp and you're playing really quiet, the taper of the volume control can get a little edgy and a little hard to control at lower volumes. So they put this switch on there that is not on version 1. That was a response to an issue in version 1 where it was tough to control the volume of high-powered amps at very low volumes on the power station. Then we got presence and depth. Presence is like a top-end, high-end control, just like the presence knob on an amp. And depth is low-end, just like a resonance control or a depth control on an amp. Now, these control they're not voicing filters for the signal that's coming in, but they're actually controlling operation within the power station's output section. So it's a little bit different. So the top end that you get if you play around with the presence knob is not the same sound as playing around with the bright and edge. The bottom end you get with the depth is not the same sound as playing around with the flat, warm and deep over here. So you've got these two knobs and these two switches to kind of mess around with the frequency response of the thing. Fryette says that when these switches are down and these are all the way clockwise, counterclockwise, that the response is totally flat. I found that with most amps, if not all amps, you're going to want to mess with this a little bit to get it to sound quote-unquote true to how the amp is. And again, for this I had it set to bright to warm, and then you saw that these were probably right around noon. And I think it sounds pretty close. I mean, that was about as close as I was able to get that amp. The AC-50 head. So we got, I was going into the Brilliant channel. Volume basically just cranked wide open, a little bit of treble, and the bass pretty low.